Oh my God, Joe, there's a man on the wing!
Peter, there's no man on the wing.
There is, I saw him!
Peter, stop being ridiculous.
I'm telling you, lift up the shade, there's a man on the wing!
Fine.
It's me. I'm the man on the wing.
Peter, how the hell?
Okay, with the recent leaks about The Last of Us Part 3 being developed and the new TV show coming out in a couple weeks, I thought about giving my pitch for the next game. For the people that may ask what I know about creating a cohesive story and plot, I'm actually a screenwriter and have written many scripts, so I have some experience in doing that. Not to be cocky. Alright, let's get onto my pitch for The Last of Us Part 3. Quick recap of the final events of Part 2. Tommy finds the location of Abby and argues with Ellie and Dina about the promise of getting revenge for Joel. Ellie denies, but ends up going anyway, ruining her relationship she built with Dina and her child. Ellie heads to Abby's last known location, stumbles onto Abby's kidnappers, kills them like a boss, and heads to the kidnappers' hideout, wiping most of them out to eventually find Abby and Lev hung up to the brink of death. Instead of putting her out of her misery, she cuts both of them down and helps them get to the beach with 2 boats. Right as they're about to leave, Ellie changes her mind, thinking about Joe again, and they have a final showdown. In the end, Ellie wins, damn near almost drowns her, but remembers a scene of her and Joe, which she forgave him for the terrible thing he did to her, which makes her let Abby go. Abby is confused and just decides to leave, leaving Ellie there to cry in the water, finally forgiving him and Abby in a way. Ellie heads home, left all by herself in an empty house, packs her things and heads to Jackson. Cut to black. I may have stumbled a little bit, my bad, it was a lot to read. But, despite my flaws with the game, I don't mind this ending. Killing Abby wouldn't help with Ellie's grief or guilt, so the theme of forgiveness works after getting time to quote-unquote empathize with Abby in a way, and giving Ellie some consequences to her actions whether or not they were the right choice. So, let's build off of this. I took a look at the themes of the previous games. Part 1 is mostly about humanity, and the question is, what is the point in living if you have no purpose? Is there a point in living? Part 2 is about the cycle of revenge, and the only way to stop that cycle is by forgiveness. So with this, I thought part 3 would be about acceptance. I'll build more on this theme for later. Now, let's begin. The prologue. I think the perfect way to start this game is showing the events right after Abby leaves with Lev on the boat. In the end of part 2, when Abby took off, you can see her looking back at Ellie crying before disappearing into the fog. I took this as her being confused and thinking about what just happened. Why did she let her go? Why was she crying? So we start by showing Abby and Lev reaching land. Abby still cut up and bloody. She lifts Lev up, carrying him to safety and to take shelter for the night. During this night, Lev asks what happened and how they got out, and Abby just says, "I don't know," and stares off into the distance, thinking about something, maybe about her own actions up until this point. And then we cut to black. Boom, that nice cold open gives some context on what happened to Abby and Lev, while also igniting what the game is going to be about. Act 1. We now play as Ellie, going back to Jackson. She's now an outsider in a way, someone who left home to go on a revenge spree, and now everyone thinks of her a certain way. This wouldn't matter to Ellie though, because she doesn't care what people think of her. Although Ellie now lives alone in a cabin in Jackson, trying every day to rebuild the relationship between her and Dina. Dina is still pissed and can't bring herself to forgive what she put her and her son through. Tommy is now in the deep end, barely interacting with Maria, drinking every night. Ellie tries to help him recover, but nothing is working. One thing leads to another, and there is an attack on Jackson just for the sake of the story. Doesn't really matter who. This is the moment where everyone finds out Ellie is immune though, almost killing her after seeing her with a bite from the end of the second game. Act 1 ends with Ellie's reveal. Act 2, I wanted to do something similar to the second game of the constant switching back between Ellie and Abby. So here we switch back to Abby, who has dreams of killing Joel, jump scaring her awake. Her and Lev try to make their way to the Firefly base that they came in contact with from the end of the second game before they got captured. Eventually, they make it, finding a bunch of new Fireflies and a nice base which they settle into. She gets questioned and is told that they have began working on a cure again and have been trying to re-track down Ellie. This is where Abby tells them she knows Ellie and knows where to find her. I think it would be a good idea to send a group of people to find Ellie, including Abby and Lev and some new Fireflies we just met. We switch back to a flashback showing the events right before Ellie made it back to Jackson, where Ellie and Tommy are talking to each other. Tommy is grateful that she went out and fulfilled her promise, but Ellie came back empty-handed, upsetting Tommy that she would go on a mission just to come back empty-handed. This explains Tommy's change in character. We then switch back to present-day Ellie, being isolated even more from her community. Ellie begins connecting with Dina because of this situation and has a heart-to-heart with Tommy, who admits that he doesn't think that he can accept that Abby is still alive and well out there. Then, the next morning, Ellie is awoken from her sleep and is asked to head to the main gate. When she gets there, it's Abby and her group saying, "We need to talk." They all have a long, heated conversation about her helping with the cure and asking her to go back with them. After thinking about her choice, Tommy steps in furious, almost killing her. Although Ellie says yes, leaving Tommy to insist on going along with her. Even Dina, just for the sake of having her in the story as well. With this, it mirrors the first game where the main characters are traveling far in order to find a cure. Alright, that is my pitch for The Last of Us Part 3. You were probably expecting me to come up with the whole ass story. You're insane. It's a pitch. I'm just providing building blocks for the probably final story in the Last of Us trilogy games. Eventually, the theme of acceptance comes into play more later, where Abby must accept that what she did to Joel was not a good thing, and it hurt her as much as it hurt that Joel killed her own father. Ooh, I just thought of something. What if they want to continue the parallels between Ellie and Abby by making it to where Ellie second guesses herself after finding acceptance for Joel's death, and the Fireflies actually find out that Lev is also immune? Then Abby can empathize and realize the feeling that Joel and Ellie went through back in the first game. That is a crazy thought, but who knows? This regret of her killing Joel is never seen in the second game, which makes it hard to empathize with her if she didn't realize what she did wrong. Adding this to the third game after seeing Ellie spare her and Lev after all that will make Abby into a better character. While I love Tommy, I think with this pitch it's inevitable to have Tommy die, showing how he wasn't accepting of Joel's death and the repercussions to that, and is constantly trying to attack Abby for what she did. This pitch story could end up anywhere, and it can end in so many ways, but all I know is Ellie is damn sure going to get to live happily ever after, no matter what. But knowing Naughty Dog and Neil Druckmann and what they did with Part 2, I'm guessing they're just going to introduce a new character, kill off both Ellie and Abby in the first hour of the game. Hope you guys enjoyed my pitch. I do plan on making more of these pitch videos in the near future, so look out for those. Make sure to comment and like and subscribe, and I'll see your asses in the next video.